everybody. I'm Allie Cobb, and I am here for your craft for when Jesus visited the temple. Now, as we learned in this week's past story, that when Jesus was about 12 years old, him and his parents traveled to the temple for Passover, much like how you guys would maybe travel for maybe Easter or Christmas or Thanksgiving to go and visit your family. They kind of went and visited some friends, maybe some family too, and everything for a religious holiday. Well, while they were there, Jesus was kind of running and playing around, and we learned that this story was really special because we often in times in the Bible don't, one, hear much about children, or two, much about Jesus when he was a child. So we got to learn a little bit about what Jesus was like, and he was probably playing around and running around, and his parents, Mary and Joseph, weren't quite keeping a close enough eye on him, and they thought that he was either ahead of the crowd or behind the crowd, and they ended up losing Jesus for 3 days. And if you've ever been lost from your parents, you know that they are absolutely terrified until they see you again and are holding you. So Mary and Joseph spent 3 very, very panicked days, I'm sure, trying to find Jesus. And if you remember from our story, they found Jesus in the temple with the religious teachers, and Jesus was kind of teaching them a little bit. He was sharing his insight and everything. Now, not that Mary and Joseph didn't already know that they had a very special child, but the fact that at only the age of 12, the religious leaders were listening to him, that showed just how special he really was and how smart he was. So for today's craft, what you're going to need is a box. So if you're anything like me, you've probably had a few deliveries come maybe this week already. And what you'll do is you'll take one of those boxes, and this was actually originally a bigger box of mine, and I just kind of cut off the top part of it so that I could have something that's kind of a little deeper in it. And then I had one of my kiddos take out their colored pencils. This would probably work better with markers, but I'm not a brave enough parent to let my 4-year-old have markers. So if you own any markers, because we don't even have any in our house, this would be a good time to let them just decorate the box, which if you're a parent or a grandparent, you know that half the time the best gift is the box or just giving them markers to color a box with. So I let my kiddo color around in there for a little bit this afternoon, but you can also take out the paints if you wanted to. You can do stickers. We just had some colored pencils on hand because, like I said, I'm not brave enough to own either markers or crayons at my house. We only have colored pencils, so it doesn't show up quite very well. But you can have that and just have them color the inside of the box. And what we're going to do today is we're going to make a little bit of a maze. Because as we know, Mary and Joseph were trying to weave their way in and out of the people and the crowd, and they were working their way back to the temple to try and find Jesus, and that's where they ended up finding him. So we're going to make a little bit of a maze today since they were kind of on the hunt for Jesus. So all that you're going to need is a box, some straws, and tape. So really easy and simple, and something small that rolls, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So like I said, I let my child just color in the box today, and then at the top part of my box, if we can see it maybe. There you go, you can kind of see it. I made a little cross, and that's gonna be our end point, okay? So what I did is I had a bunch of plastic straws, bendy and everything, and it just kind of depends on your kiddo's ability and everything, if you wanna let them map out the path or if you want to, but I kind of already made a little bit of a path already. Here, I'll show you guys. So what I did was I just started taking pieces of my plastic straws, and I just kind of started taping them, and I also had bendy ones, so that kind of made my life a little bit easier too, and I just kind of made a little bit of a map to get to my end portion. So I'm going to finish up the last little bit with you guys right now and everything, but it kind of came together very quickly. And as we all know, in the Bible, oftentimes if you are lost, you are very quickly found. And Jesus doesn't like lost sheep. There's been a few examples in the Bible when sheep or people have been lost, but they always, this is easier to do when it's flat. Here, let me do it while it's down here and flat real quick. But we've learned a few times in the Bible now how if we're ever lost, we always end up being found, and we find our way back to church or to back home where we belong. And fun little fact for everybody, sheep is mentioned more often, is the most often mentioned animal in the Bible than any other, by far. Okay, Here we go. So last little piece there. So now that I have my complete maze and everything, came together quite quickly, you will need something round. So if you have marbles, great. I did not, so I stole the little marble beads out of my kids' Hungry Hungry Hippo. So that's what I'm using tonight. And I figured my yellow one could maybe represent Jesus, because Jesus is the light, and yellow kind of represents light. And then I have 2 red ones for Mary and Joseph. And you can just sit them in your box, and they can try and find their way together back to the temple. Where did my marbles fill out? But anyways, so that is your craft for this week, and this story was picked by the Moss family. So thank you, Moss family, again for picking out one of my favorite Bible stories, because it gets to kind of us to take a look at what Jesus was like when he was young and about 12 years old. So thank you very much for picking out this story for us this week, and I look forward to seeing everybody next time. Hope you enjoy your Jesus maze craft. Bye-bye.